What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. It's the weekend, so I wanted to come out here again and shoot the shit with you guys. And I had a subject that I was thinking about that I think a lot of people out there will relate to, unfortunately. And that is, being a grown adult, maybe 30 plus, and having no idea what you want to do with your life. You don't know what you want to do career-wise. Maybe you're completely capable. You're intelligent enough to do just about anything. You could be an engineer. You could be a registered nurse. You could be a police officer. You could be a business executive. You're capable of doing anything. But you have no idea what you want to do, so you're working a bullshit job. You just haven't figured it out. You haven't figured out if you want to get married. You haven't figured out if you want to have kids. You haven't figured out really anything about what you want to do with your life. And, at least in my generation and people younger than me, I'm 38, so people all the way down to about 18, it seems to be the common trend. More and more people are kind of falling in that category. You're the lost boys, the lost generation. Not really sure what you want to do with your life. And, everybody, especially in the United States of America, is kind of out there seeking a title. You want something you can brag about. You want to be able to say, I'm the executive vice president of so-and-so. I'm the senior engineer. I'm whatever. You want this high title. And people that don't have these high titles tend to feel like they're less than. I know when I was in high school, they'd sit us with the guidance counselors maybe once a week or so, and they would really scold us. They would really put us to the fire and make sure that we were going to college. They'd try to scare us and say, you're going to end up working a factory job if you don't figure out what you want to major in college. You better get your act together. They would sit us down and freaking scold us on this shit. But as you become an adult, and I think most people realize, college can be a useful tool. Having a high job title, can be beneficial, especially if you're making a lot of money. But it really doesn't mean shit in America. It doesn't really matter if you're one of the 38% of people that has a bachelor's degree or higher, or if you're one of the 62% of people that doesn't. Pretty much every company that I've ever worked for, you'll see people in higher up roles that don't have a bachelor's degree, and you'll see people working entry level that have master's degrees. Some people are really good at butt kissing. Even though they might not be good at their job, they're good at playing the game, playing the system. So they work their way up the ladder. That's just kind of how it goes. So if you're somebody out there that has no idea what you want to do, and you're just kind of sitting back, nonchalant, just letting life happen, that's never going to happen to you. You're never going to work your way up the ladder, whether you have a degree or not. That's a different subject, though. As I was saying, I don't think your job title really matters as much as you think it does. Really, the only thing that matters in the United States of America in terms of income and making shit happen is money in, the money that you're making, and after that, it basically just comes down to your credit score. So you can be a really hard worker with no skills and no degree, working 3 jobs, and pull $100,000 a year, have a good credit score, and you'll have no problem buying real estate and buying property and making things happen. But you have to be a hard worker. You have to have work ethic to make that happen. If you're not a hard worker, or I should say, if you're a work smarter, not harder kind of guy, but you have no idea what you want to do with your life, so you don't want to go to college, you don't want to you don't want to train yourself up on a specific skill because you're not sure if that's what you want to do. you can live like a top 1%er working at McDonald's, but you have to make the right choices. And my best advice to you, because the average McDonald's worker makes like 40 to 50,000 a year if they work 40 hours a week. I know the assistant managers make like over 50,000. So here's a little trick, and the Manosphere won't teach you this because they try to push you away from it, but get in a long-term relationship and have a girl move in with you. I don't know if you believe in God, but the Bible says it's not good when a man is lonely. He shouldn't be alone. So he created the perfect helper for him, which is a woman. I know in this day and age, you know, people think that sounds like, you know, anti-woman or some shit like that, but those aren't my words. It's the Bible, you know. Take it up with, you know, whoever wrote the Bible. But anyways, as I was saying, if you worked at McDonald's and you made 40 to 50,000 a year, you work at the gas station, and you find yourself a girlfriend that does the same thing as you guys move in together, you're making 100,000 a year. And after that, it's just all about, you know, you guys each have a credit card. Maybe you each have one auto loan paid off in your names. Now you both have credit scores of 750. Your combined income is 6 figures a year. Banks will easily give you a loan for $350,000. No question. You know, you can buy a nice duplex, you can buy nice real estate, you know, multi-unit home, or you can just buy a home to live in. I know that's going to screw with the microphone. Okay, there we go. That was freaking weird. Or you can just buy a home to live in. And, you know, the two of you can do your thing. That's a pretty easy life to live. You know, as long as you don't get caught up in a divorce, you should be just fine. Which, I know the Manosphere really focuses on divorces. They really focus on people splitting up. And yeah, things get a little crazy. Things go south quick when you go through a divorce. You might lose everything and you might have to restart with nothing. And that would suck. But, you know, keep in mind, 51% of marriages last until death do you part. So, learn from the 51%. Don't learn from the 49%. You know, do your best to choose wisely and live wisely. But the reason why I bring up this girlfriend thing is because, you know, if you're a single guy out there, you know, you're just living by yourself, typically what's going to happen is, for most of you, you graduate high school, you get an apartment, you get a car payment, you have a bullshit job, 40 hours a week, you're making enough to pay rent and make your car payment, you have $100 left over every week to socialize with, but you're trapped. You know, you're trapped in this cage that you're never going to get out of. You know, you're just stuck living at that apartment. You only get weekends off, so you don't really have any time to go out and look for anything else, and you're just kind of trapped there. Days go by, months go by, years go by, and before you know it, you're 35, 40, still doing the same thing. You know, and if that is you, if that's your trajectory, again, the best piece of advice that I have for you is to find a girlfriend. And, you know, a lot of people get this backwards. They think that you should build your career, build all your money, and then find a girlfriend later. But the problem with that is, those are the guys that go through the divorces. You know, those are the guys that have the problems because they waited until they had all the money and then they used the money and status to get the women. You know, they didn't meet a woman before they had it and train her up and make things work out properly. Because one thing about women that all you men have to understand is there's one particular trait that they look for in men, and if you have this trait, you're probably going to do just fine. And that is having direction, having a plan. So if you're like a 21-year-old guy, or if you're a 30-year-old guy, 40-year-old guy, whatever, and you're single, and you're just in this position, you don't know what you should do. If you meet a woman, you need to have a plan for her. Why is church so popular? I'll tell you. Church is so popular because people walk in there and they hear things like God has a plan for you. It's not popular because people just have a spiritual awakening or something. No, they walk in there and they hear things like God has a plan for you. And you're thinking, oh, little old me, with all the shit that I've done, God has a plan for me. And that's the same way that you want to conduct yourself around women, like you have a plan for them, right? So you meet a woman, have a plan for her. What's your plan? Well, the two of you are going to move in together. The two of you are going to, save up some money. The two of you are going to each get a credit card and keep them paid off. The two of you are going to go to a bank, get a loan. The two of you are going to buy a duplex. Two of you are going to live in half the duplex and rent the other half out. After 5 years, the two of you are going to go back to the bank and get another loan. And, you're going to be set. But you have to be a man with a plan. And you don't really have to know what you want to do with your life to do this. Like you can come up with this plan inside of you and figure out what you want to do with your life later, but just consider this to be the basics. And it's a lot easier than you think. It's difficult when you're by yourself, but if you have a girlfriend there to be your helper, it's very easy. And again, it might sound like, in this day and age, like it sounds bad, but truth of the matter is, that's what women want. They don't want to be your equal, and you get together and she's, you're both college educated and you're both making X amount of dollars, and neither one of you is the executive decision maker. Neither one of you has a plan. You're just kind of working together on things. That's not what they want. They want a guy that already has it together. And you can be broke as a joke working at McDonald's, but if you have direction and you're able to look her dead in the eye and tell her what your plan is and what you expect from her and what you want to do, over the course of the next 5 years or so, 10 years, you can make it happen. It's not about knowing what you want to do with your life. It's about thinking ahead a little bit. You don't have to have an exact destination. You just have to be taking steps towards something. And in America, it's all about money in, it's about your credit score, and it's about investments. That's it. If you want to be wealthy, you have to have investments. If you want to be rich, you have to have income. And if you want to basically have an easy financial life, you have to have a good credit score. It's not hard to do. It's very hard to do when you're single. When you're a young guy in your 20s and you're trapped at a dead-end job, it's damn near impossible. But once you have a girlfriend living with you, it gets easy. And the manosphere will tell you that having a girlfriend is expensive. They say, well, you can live the high life when you're single because, you don't have to pay for anybody else, right? You don't have to take anybody on expensive dates or, whatever. But truth is, anybody out there, any guy out there with just the slightest bit of game that's ever had a girlfriend living with him, damn well life gets way easier. You got somebody there cooking for you. You got somebody there cleaning. When you're single, if you have like a car problem, that's stressful as hell, right? Your car breaks down, what do? When you got a girlfriend, you have 2 cars, maybe 3 cars. And, you don't have to worry about things like that. You always got backup plans. You got somebody to give you a ride if you need one. You can borrow their car. You know, if you get fired from your job, they have a job. You know, there's always a backup plan. So having a girlfriend that you live with makes life a million times easier. And anybody that tells you different, they're probably tricking. You know, they're playing a sugar daddy game. I don't recommend that. That's a man with no plan. That's a man with no direction. That's a man being led by women. So guys that think women are expensive are men that are being led by women. The man that's leading the situation, now he understands. She makes your life easier because you're leading her to do so. You know, so that would be my best advice on that, you know. I know it sounds a little strange, but you know, what matters, or my three best pieces of advice would be: number one, just have a job. Number two, pay off your debts so you have good credit. Very easy to do. We're talking like one auto loan every 15 years and one credit card that you keep paid off. Keep your debts paid off. Don't let anything fall into collections. You'll have a good credit score. And then number three, have a girlfriend, have a helper there with you. You know, another thing, I hear a lot of manosphere guys say that, you know, they don't even want to live with a woman. They say they'd rather have one of their male roommates or one of their male best friends live with them as a business partner. I firmly disagree on that one. I disagree like a motherfucker on that one. I had one male roommate when I was still a teenager. Man, I wanted to beat the shit out of that motherfucker every other day. Like two men, you know, you can't have two male, like alpha personalities living in the same place. You're gonna be at each other's throats. You know, you're not gonna be friends for long, but you know, when I have a girlfriend, it seems to work out fine. You know, the masculine and feminine polarity there seems to work out just fine. And women are excellent helpers. You know, men tend to focus on what's outside of the house, right? The outside world. They go to the outside world to bring the money into the house. Women tend to specialize in what's inside the house. You know, so it's good to have that helper around. Yeah, I don't know. So that's my advice on that. If you're a 30-something-year-old that doesn't know what you want to do with your life, keep working, focus on your credit score, and find a life partner. I know life partner sounds kind of fruity. I don't like to use that word. Find yourself a girlfriend. And if you can't find a girlfriend, I don't know, maybe your standards are too high. I don't think I'm the greatest guy in the world, but you know, put it like this, I've never had to cold approach a woman. I do sometimes, but I've never had to. They're all over the place. One thing just leads to another. You just got to put yourself in the right position, but most importantly, have a plan for her. You know, get to know a girl, get her phone number, start talking to her, go out with her a couple of times, and tell her you have a plan. She says, "What's that?" Say, "Well, you know, we're both working. I want to make sure that we're focused on getting our bills paid off, staying out of debt, focused on our credit scores, saving money, and we need to buy some property, you know." And most women out there will be down to do that. And before you know it, you can be a gas station worker, gas station clerk, owning real estate, and retiring early. Without a doubt, you can do it. So, it's not the end of the world if you don't know what you want to do with your life. You're just like the other 90% of people that don't know what they want to do with their life, but have a direction. Doesn't have to be career-wise, but it's you and your family and the direction that you're going to go with that. But hey, guys, looks like sun's about to set. Got some nice coloring going on, but I am going to go ahead and shut this one off. Hopefully this video was somewhat informative, but that's about it for tonight, guys. Until next time, see ya.